847 warships dropped out of hyperspace above Earth and found nothing waiting for them. No defense fleet. No orbital platforms. No response on any frequency. Supreme Commander Veth Kalos of the Dominion Eternal studied his tactical display and felt something he hadn't felt in 3 centuries of conquest, mild curiosity. The humans had known they were coming. Every intelligence report confirmed it. 6 months of buildup, 12 dreadnoughts leading the vanguard, the largest expeditionary force the Dominion had deployed since the Krell subjugation. And Earth's response was silence. "They're hiding," said Fleet Second Oran, his mandibles clicking with amusement. "The primitives are actually hiding." Veth Kalos didn't smile. He'd learned not to dismiss things he didn't understand. But the numbers were simply beyond argument. The Dominion fleet carried 4,000 fusion lance batteries, reactive armor rated to withstand a small star-going nova at close range, and jump-capable strike craft numbered in the tens of thousands. Earth's entire military output, according to the intelligence files, totaled 61 warships. Old ones. Slow ones. Armed with magnetic accelerator cannons that the Dominion had countered technologically before humanity had discovered fire. "Open a channel," he said. The human who appeared on his display was a woman. Dark eyes. No fear visible anywhere on her face, which Veth Kalos found either deeply impressive or deeply stupid. She wore no ceremonial armor, no symbols of rank beyond a single silver pin on her collar. The name on file read Admiral Chen Yun, Commander, Earth Defense Cooperative. "Supreme Commander," she said. "You're 14 minutes early." Veth Kalos stared. "Early? We had a pool going. I lost 3 ration credits." She tilted her head slightly. "Here's how this conversation usually goes. You tell me resistance is futile, I surrender, my people become a subject civilization paying tribute for the next 300 years. Is that the offer?" "That is the generous offer, yes." She glanced at something off-screen. "I'm going to need 20 minutes. The channel closed. Fleet Second Oran's mandibles went still. "Did she just hang up on you?" In the command center buried 1 kilometer beneath the Swiss Alps, Admiral Chen Yun turned to the man beside her and exhaled slowly. Director Sable of Project Nightfall, tall, rumpled, perpetually holding a coffee that had gone cold, looked at the feed of 847 Dominion warships filling low orbit like a steel thunderstorm. "Clock's running," Chen said. "They're scanning," Sable replied, watching his own display. "Full spectrum. Gravitic, electromagnetic, quantum resonance." He paused. "They're not finding anything." "Good. That's the point." The Dominion scans swept across Earth with technology capable of detecting a single fusion reactor buried beneath a mountain range. They pinged the oceans, the poles, the orbital debris fields. They identified Chen's command bunker immediately, the humans hadn't even hidden it, and catalogued 61 warships sitting in geosynchronous orbit, completely powered down, utterly non-threatening. They found nothing else. Aboard the Dominion flagship, the scan officer reported to Veth Kalos with practiced efficiency. "No hidden fleet, Commander. No orbital weapons platforms. No energy signatures consistent with large-scale armament. The planet's military output matches the intelligence file exactly." "Exactly," Veth Kalos repeated. "Yes, sir." He stood very still. In 40 years of campaign command, intelligence files were never exact. There was always variance. Human settlements, especially, tended to hide things in the variance, an extra battalion here, a prototype weapon there. The file matched perfectly. Down to the last decimal point. That meant either his intelligence was flawless, or the humans had fed it to him deliberately. The channel request came from Earth 30 seconds later. Chen Yun reappeared, same expression, same terrible calm. "Okay," she said. 20 minutes is up. I've consulted with my people. And? We're not surrendering. She leaned forward slightly, and for the first time something moved behind her eyes, not fear, Vethkalos realized. Anticipation. But I'll give you one chance to leave. After that, what happens next is on you. Vethkalos looked at his 847 ships. He looked at her 61. Fire a warning shot, he said. Minimal yield. Let them understand their situation. The fusion lance discharged. It crossed 40,000 kilometers in 0.4 seconds and struck something that was not there on any scan, and stopped. The fusion lance, a weapon that had cracked planetary crusts on 3 separate worlds, hit something 40,000 kilometers above Earth's surface and died. Not deflected. Not absorbed. Died. The beam simply ceased, as if the universe had quietly decided it wasn't allowed to exist anymore. Vethkalos watched the energy reading on his display collapse to 0 and felt, for the first time in his command career, the specific chill of encountering something he did not have a category for. Report, he said quietly. His weapons officer's voice was careful. Unknown barrier, Commander. No mass signature. No energy signature prior to impact. It appeared to exist only at the moment of contact. That's not possible. No, sir. It isn't. 400 kilometers away, in the cockpit of a Dominion strike craft already screaming toward Earth's upper atmosphere, Wing Strike Pellis got the abort order 2 seconds too late. He pulled hard. Not hard enough. His craft crossed the invisible threshold and every system on his ship, drive, weapons, communications, life support, switched off simultaneously, as cleanly as someone cutting power to a lamp. He drifted. Breathing recycled air with maybe 6 hours left in the emergency reserve, utterly dark inside a suddenly very quiet cockpit, while Earth's blue curve filled his canopy. He keyed his emergency beacon. Nothing transmitted. Back aboard the flagship, 43 strike craft had just gone dark in the same instant, and Fleet Second Oran was no longer clicking his mandibles with amusement. It's a field, said Director Sable, watching from the Alpine Command Center as Dominion craft drifted silent and helpless in the upper atmosphere. Selective electromagnetic suppression. Tuned to Dominion drive frequencies specifically. He took a sip of cold coffee. Took us 4 years to reverse engineer their engine signatures from the probe data. Chen didn't look up from her display. How many in the dead zone? 43 fighters. 2 light cruisers that pushed too far in. He paused. They're trying to tow them out. Let them. We're not here to kill anyone. That was the part Vethkalos couldn't process, even as he watched his recovery teams drag powerless ships back from the invisible wall. The humans were letting him retrieve them. No follow-up attack. No demands. Just silence, and the steady presence of 61 warships that still hadn't powered their weapons. He opened the channel himself this time. Chen Yun answered on the first ping. What, Vethkalos said, abandoning formality entirely, is that field? Project Nightfall, Layer 1, she said pleasantly. We've had 7 years since your first diplomatic contact to study your technology. You were very helpful, every ship you sent, every probe, every encrypted signal. We're good listeners. You built a weapon tuned specifically to our systems. We built several. She held up 2 fingers. That was one. Vethkalos made a decision that felt, even as he made it, like possibly the wrong one. All dreadnoughts, advance formation. Gravitic cannons to full charge. I want that field collapsed. 12 dreadnoughts, each one massing 4 million tons, each one capable of pulling a moon fractionally off orbit, fired simultaneously. Gravitic shear waves crossed the distance in under a second and hit the barrier in a wash of distorted spacetime that should have torn any conventional system apart at the quantum level. The barrier rippled. Held. And then the humans powered their weapons. 61 ships, slow, old, visually unimpressive. Lit their Mark 9 railgun arrays in perfect synchronization. Not the Mark 7 the intelligence files had listed. Mark 9. A full generation ahead of what the Dominion had catalogued. The first salvo crossed 40,000 kilometers and struck the lead dreadnought's forward armor in a pattern so precisely distributed that every hit landed on a different shield emitter simultaneously. Not punching through. Overloading. Spreading the damage across 17 points faster than the regenerative system could compensate. On the dreadnought's bridge, a damage report came through that its captain had never seen before. Shields at 62%. How? They hit 17 emitters at once. Commander, their targeting system shouldn't be capable of. Hull breach, Deck 7, a second voice cut in. Reactor at 40%. That's the second thing, Sable said quietly, watching from below. Predictive targeting. We ran every Dominion combat simulation we could build. Their shield rotation has a pattern. Took a supercomputer 3 years to find it. He almost smiled. They never changed it because no one had ever been fast enough to use it. Veth Kalos looked at his tactical display and understood, in one cold moment of clarity, that he had walked into something that had been waiting for him. Not improvised desperation. Architecture. This had been built around him, specifically, the moment his fleet had been announced. All ships, he said. New formation. Encirclement pattern. They're already moving, Oran interrupted. The human ships. They're already in the counter position. They had moved before the order was given. Because they'd predicted it. Because they'd simulated every move he had left, and the 61 ships now sitting calmly between his 12 damaged dreadnoughts and any viable firing angle had done it without a single wasted thrust. Veth Kalos sat down slowly. Open a channel to Admiral Chen, he said. Now. Chen answered before Veth Kalos finished his sentence. I've been waiting for this call, she said. No triumph in her voice. Just patience, the kind that comes from having already won 3 moves ago and simply letting events catch up. Are you ready to listen? What do you want? He asked. The words cost him something. She could hear it. Nothing you haven't already lost, she said. Watch. On Veth Kalos's tactical display, Layer 2 of Project Nightfall came online. Not 61 ships. 61 ships had been the distraction, the visible hand while the other one worked. From the dark side of the moon, from the asteroid belt, from positions buried in the gravitational shadow of Jupiter where no scan had thought to look, 219 additional vessels powered their drives simultaneously. Not old. Not slow. Built in secret over 11 years, in shipyards that existed on no file the Dominion had ever touched, crewed by people who had spent a decade training for exactly this moment and never once told anyone outside the program they existed. Oran made a sound that had no translation in the universal communication protocols. Raw, unfiltered, the noise of a creature who has just understood it is prey. The 219 ships didn't fire. They didn't need to. They simply held position, perfectly distributed across every escape vector in the system, and waited. Veth Kalos ran the calculations himself because he didn't trust his officers to tell him what he already knew. There was no exit. Every jump corridor was covered. Every sublight route was bracketed. His 847 ships, still the largest force, still technically more powerful on paper, were sitting in a box that had been built around them over a decade, and the door had just closed. Supreme Commander, Chen said quietly, you came here expecting to add Earth to your collection. I want you to understand something before you leave. She leaned forward. We let you scan us. We fed you the intelligence files. We counted your ships, catalogued your weapons, mapped your tactics, and then we built the exact cage your specific fleet would walk into. Not a human fleet. Your fleet. Yours, personally. We've been watching you for 4 years. Vethkalos said nothing. The 61 ships are real. The 340 are real. And there's a layer 3. She let that sit for exactly 2 seconds. You don't want to find out what layer 3 is. He believed her. That was the thing, he completely, absolutely believed her. Because everything she'd said so far had been true, and the humans had demonstrated, thoroughly, that they did not bluff. They prepared. We're leaving, he said. I know, Chen replied. Tell them what you found here. Tell them exactly. The Dominion fleet jumped within the hour, 17 dreadnoughts limping, 43 strike craft recovered but silent, every crew member aboard carrying the specific psychological weight of having been completely, methodically, and personally outsmarted. In the Alpine Command Center, someone started clapping. Then everyone did. Director Sable looked at the empty tactical display where 847 warships had been and took a long sip of finally warm coffee. Chen watched the stars. Across 40 inhabited systems, Dominion Battle Network reports updated simultaneously. The entry for Sol system was reclassified in the Dominion's own strategic database by Vethkalos himself, because accuracy mattered more to him now than pride. He typed 2 words. Do not.